and welcome to CheapSkate. I'm Cameron and this video is about these Chinese tuna saddle bridge pieces. They're individual, and generally speaking you want individual tuna pieces like this when you are building a headless multi-scale guitar. So headless meaning you don't have any tuners up here, of course, and multi-scale meaning that you have well, you can call them fan frets, but I think fan fret is a copywritten name, which is why people call them multi-scales mostly, because there's a copyright on fan fret. But yeah, your frets are angled because you have a different scale length on your top string than you do on your bottom. So I might, in this case, a 650mm scale length on the bass E and 630mm on the treble E, which is similar to a Gibson scale on the treble side and a Fender scale on the bass side, if that makes sense to people. So, I got these from AliExpress, 6 pieces, it's a 6-string guitar, for about $130 Australian, including delivery, which is insanely cheap. Now, they don't just come with these barrels and the mounting, individual mounting plates, but they also come with these little guys for securing the string at the, what you might call the head end, even though it hasn't got a head, top of the neck perhaps. These look pretty good, pretty well made. They have this is the bottom, it has a locating pin there, you can see, hopefully you can see it. So, and the screw would come through there. So because it's got a locating pin that won't rotate, so that's really good. So you could angle these or whatever you want with them. And this is looking at the top and down. You can see there's a hole there for securing, putting your screw in to secure it. There's also a grub screw right here, and that grub screw would secure the string. So the string would either, I don't know which way around you'd have these. You could have them either way around, I suppose, but the string goes in one of those holes and out the other one, and you tie it down with a grub screw. There's 6 of those. Also comes with 3 different size Allen keys. One of them, in fact, is quite fine. And I've got these screws look the same size as the ones that secure the bridge pieces, but these are obviously for those bits I just showed you, but I didn't use them, so I've still got the screws left over. There's those screws, there's 2 per barrel at the other end. So on this particular system, the way they're doing it, you've got little individual plates. You can see this one just here. There's one for each. I don't know if you'd be able to see it if I do something like that maybe. You probably can't see it, but there's 6 of those little plates, one for each one, and they have 2 screws going into the body for each one of those, and then there's 1 screw from here securing each barrel. So that brings me to the first problem with these tuners. Actually, before I talk about the problem, I will say this: they are very well made. The finish is excellent and the construction is very good. The metal used is high quality. So sometimes with stuff from China, the metal quality is very poor. These appear to be very good and they're well made. The problem with these is not in manufacture, the problem is the design, in my view. So right here we have a screw down inside there. You can see each one of these has a screw there. That screw holds the barrel down onto this individual plate. That's all that's holding each barrel, is 1 screw there. So all the string tension is pulling, strings are secured via this screw here, little grub screws. Strings secured by those screws, although you can put ball ends through there if you don't want to use the grub screws. I didn't know that when I ordered these. I thought you had to use the grub screws to secure them. I didn't know you could put ball ends, which is why I made my own securing plate here with slots for ball ends to go in. So anyway, the problem here is this screw, which is holding down this barrel. If you look in there, it's polished chrome. And the underside of this screw, I think these screws might be stainless steel. So there's no grip. And I've done these up as tight as I dare. In fact, a couple of times I've ended up trying to go so tight to hold them down that I think I've burred where the hex key fits in. I think I've burred them, a couple of them, which is bad. But yeah, because the barrels just kept sliding. Now I think I can fix it, and I'm going to try and do that in a minute. I'm going to take these all off, and I'm going to try and just rough it up with sandpaper in there. I mean, it looks nice that it's polished, but there's no grip for the bolt. So I'm going to try and rough it up, and I'll probably rough up the underneath of the bolt as well, give it something to grip to. So that's a problem that might be solvable. Now, I noticed I got these from AliExpress, but I noticed I haven't seen them on AliExpress again, and I think now they're on eBay. And I saw a photo someone showed me, which had black ones and stainless steel, and the stainless steel ones look frosted, not polished. So I think they might have realized the problem, and it might just be with these chrome ones. So there might not be a problem on the current ones they're selling, but it's a problem on these. The other thing, which for me is a killer for these, is that there's a brass, I think it's brass, you've got brass, so you can see there's a brass screw and a barrel that the string goes through. And when you're tuning, and you tune these by turning these little knobs here, which is why I've got a hole in here to make it easier to put your hand in to turn them. When you're turning these, it moves, the whole barrel, it's got a bolt in there, and the whole barrel moves up and down inside this cylinder, right? The tolerances are not right, in my view. So you can see this one, the screw is up a bit, but you might be able to hear it when I move it. I'll push it across. Hear that? That is this screw moving side to side and hitting the side of this oval shape. So the oval cutout is too big for the screw and everything they're using, and so it's allowing it to move sideways. What happens is, like, this string's a bit loose, which is why I'm doing it so easily, but that actually changes the tune. And if you knock, I sometimes rest my hand on the bridge. A lot of players actually rest their hand on the bridge while they're playing, and it actually puts the guitar out of tune. You can hear it changing tune while your hand goes on it because it's touching these and they're moving sideways. So that's a problem, which I don't think I can fix. The other problem is that these move up and down. So if you can see that, and I'll show you if I get this one here. Yeah, here. So look at this one here. Sorry, camera work. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, you can see it there. It's moving up and down, right? So it means if you rest your hand on the bridge, the guitar goes out of tune. Let me show you what I mean. We'll do this E string here. Oops. And now I'm just pushing down. As soon as you touch the bridge, the guitar goes out of tune or changes tune while you're playing. So for me, they're a fail. Yeah. Oh, just to clarify, in case you've seen it, these are sitting on, see this plate they're sitting on? That's polished aluminium. I made that plate, so it's not, doesn't come with it. So they just mount onto the wood. If you do get anything like this type, I would suggest, if you don't get one from the manufacturer, I would suggest that you make your own plate, whether you make it out of brass or stainless steel, aluminium, whatever you want, because drilling into the wood, if the wood density varies, it kind of tends to push the drill bit off angle a little bit. I use a drill press, but it still pushed them off angle when I tried it in the timber. So that's why I made the aluminium one, because my barrels weren't coming out dead straight and they weren't in the exact position I wanted either. So if you're fitting them yourself, just be aware of that. I think that's it. I'm going to take these off now and sand them and try and fix them a little bit and then put it back in. One other tip, if you are using grub screws at this end or at this end to secure a string, something I didn't know, and the E string is really loose right now because of it, because it happened, you have to crimp on the wound strings, you have to crimp the windings onto the string. Obviously you want to do it behind the saddle, don't have it do it in front of the saddle, but behind the saddle, pretty much around the area that you're going to be securing it, you need to squash, I'll show you anyway, but you need to squash the windings onto the string. Otherwise what happens is the grub screw that you tighten on the string will grip the winding, but it might not grip the string inside, and you tune the guitar and the string, the core, the steel core just pulls through, and you get that. So yeah, let's get into it. to try and secure the little strings is almost impossible. Show you there the individual saddles. So obviously the plate that's underneath, I made that plate, but these are the individual things. 2 screws on each one, and the screw that holds the barrel down goes in there. So that was the screw for securing the string, and you can see this moves up and down when you wind it, it brings it back. There's 2 screws you'll see here, which is what the very small Allen key they supply for, is to adjust the height of this saddle piece here. So you can adjust the height of that, and then it has a grub screw at the front to lock it in so it won't ever fall out. Well, you probably don't really need that, but it's got it there. But yeah, I think I worked out the height adjustment is about 3mm. Alright, so we've worked out a technique that seems to be working. That is, just get the screwdriver, bend a bit over, so put it in there, and I turn it slightly so I'm covering the whole area, and just the other side. It doesn't seem to take very much for it to sort of rough it up a bit. Yeah, actually doesn't take that much. Now I'm going to show it to you, but you probably won't be able to see. It's going to show you the internal issue with this. That one. Putting it side down. Okay. Now, it's not going to come out till I do that, is it? Alright. For the sake of science, we're going to do it. Okay, so I've taken the grub screw out of there. Right, so now that comes out. That's the tuner part. Okay. So that's where your string goes through, and comes through there. Now, the grub screw, let me start putting this back in again. This is why I filmed the first part inside, is because of this wind, which you're probably hearing on the mic. Alright, here comes our grub screw, right? Now, just pretend you are the thinnest E string. Now, pretend you're the thinnest E string, and I'm going to clamp you. Are you clamped? Or would you have found a way to get to the side in that big empty space on either side? And then when I try and tune you, you'll just pull out. Yeah, that's what happens. So here's the problem. Inside of here, where the grub screw goes down onto, it's just a round cylinder. So we have a round cylinder with a screw trying to push down onto a tiny string. Now, even though this is flat on the end of this screw, right? So a thin string, like I'm using 9s, right, so the surface under that screw is going to be round. The end of the screw isn't round, so there's space under the screw because the sides of the screw will be touching, not the bottom. And there's space for the string to slip through, even if you do manage to get this to go on top of the string. Most of the time it doesn't go on top, slips to the side and goes into the thread or whatever, and it pulls through. But because the bottom of this thing is round, so really, proper engineering, you would make the bottom of this cylinder flat. Hard to do, granted, but that would be how you would have to do it. I can try and get to the side part over here. But I've scuffed the tops of these as well, especially on the edges here where it's going to be really touching. So I'm hoping that that will give us some more grip now. Just quickly show you, I'm just getting the bolt. So that's the top where you screw it in, and this is the other side. The threads here. I'm just getting paper, and this is going to be really hard to show in the video, but I'm just scuffing the underside of the dome, not the dome, but the underside where it contacts the chrome barrel, and just giving it a bit more grip. Alright, so we're just going to fit the heaviest E string first, so the base E. Anyway, so I've got the worst possible pliers I could have got. They're not exactly great pliers. I've got to make sure I don't cut them, but I want to scrunch it from about here. Like I say, making sure I'm not getting anywhere near the cutting part of the pliers. And just squeeze it. And crush it on. This part will all go through here, so it'll all help hold it together. Doesn't really, I can't really tell anything. I have seen people do this with cutters, and they use the cutting part and they squeeze it, but they don't cut through. Good luck to them, I say. There we go. Okay, so push it all the way in. If you can imagine that this here is the cylinder, so the wire goes in this end, through inside into here where the string goes. So if you've got like your thicker string, like the E string, the thicker E string, as we push the screw down, this is the screw in the hole, as you can see it gets caught. Now it could go into here, but even if it went in sort of here, it would probably get squished against the side. So it does secure it. And generally speaking, it pushes it down underneath and it squishes it. With the thinner strings, what happens is, as you're tightening this down, it tends to just slide off and go up the side, especially if there's any sort of tension on the string, or if you're pulling the string through, because the tension, what happens is this starts to push the string down, say the string's up here, as the screw comes out, starts to push it, they tend to sort of slide off to the side and end up going in here. And you just pull them, they come straight out. It doesn't hold it at all, it's just the threads here. So that's the big problem. The other thing is, this whole tube is round, it has no flat surfaces. The screw is flat, or the bolt, sorry, is flat on the bottom. It has like little, I guess it comes in a little bit on the edges here, but it's basically flat. So you've got a string, if you've got a really thin string, a flat surface against a curved surface, it doesn't work. And it can pull out. So you've got to kind of be lucky and hope that your string ends up sort of here somewhere, or maybe here. The other way you could probably think of is if it goes through on an angle, you might catch it somewhere. But if you're right in the middle, it kind of probably doesn't grip that well either. So could we fix it? Well, I have seen somewhere there's a manufacturer that puts a magnet in the bottom. I can't remember who it was now, and I can't find the website. I was going to tell you who it was, but I can't find it. But I noticed they had a little round magnet that goes in the bottom, and so the string gets stuck on the magnet, and then their screw comes straight down on top of it. That's a pretty clever solution, because the magnet's flat, the bottom of the screw's flat, so that crushes it. What we could do to fix the existing design is make up this sort of a, you can see I've got it like in red, a D-shaped sort of a plate here. You could probably make that in brass, since this is all brass anyway. Make it in brass, so you could, brass is pretty soft, so you have a flat piece and then sand it to the right shape. Most importantly would be the bottom, so you could glue it into the bottom. And then I guess if you really want to make it secure, you could glue another one into each side. So basically you're just making a square so that the square peg fits in a round hole by making the hole square. So the thread, you can still just poke your string through there, and this would just push it down. There's nowhere else for the string to go. It has to go down the bottom, and it gets crushed on the bottom. That would be a fix, which I might do, but not today. Alright, thank you for watching this review of the Chinese tuners. I'm calling them Chinese tuners because they don't have a brand name as far as I can tell. If you think I've been too harsh in my review of these tuners, then feel free to, write it in there. If you have any questions about them, ask me. And if you think I've been too harsh, let me know and I'll relook at it. But at the moment, I wouldn't recommend them to anyone. I certainly wouldn't buy them again myself. It's like, okay, they're cheap, but if you buy a cheap car that won't start, it's not cheap. It's just useless. And these are kind of useless. I mean, I haven't demoed this guitar yet because I built it recently, and I'll do a demo, and then I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I might have to buy new tuners for it, or maybe try and fix them like I showed in my diagram. That could be fun. That could be a video in that, although the cylinder will still move inside. Anyway, I'll have to come up with a solution for that as well then. This video's gone too long. If you got something out of it, please consider giving it a thumbs up because it does help grow the channel. And if you'd like to see more, subscribe and have a great day.